And welcome to Rapid Rant. It's Don Pablo and your Colorado podcast. All things Rapids and MLS. Two games this week so far. The Red Bull game at home on Saturday and the Rapids loss in Dignity Health Sports Park midweek. That was 3-2. The tie was 1-1 against Red Bull. We got that coming up. We got a business update about women's soccer. And just because it's Rapid Giant doesn't mean we're not going to talk women's soccer out here. And of course, we're going to talk to you about the Rapids. And we'll see what's up. I'm testing out some new technology right now, and it should be working. I think I did it correctly. It's just I'm trying to mess with the computer and do all this stuff at the same time. So, yes. And I can now, and I've already messed it up anyway. So, this is Rapid Rant, your local Colorado podcast, established in 2012 by me, Don Pablo, and host emeritus, Caberto, busiest man in radio in the Front Range. That guy, he always has a open invitation, and he is somewhat forced to listen to it. If anybody is, it's that guy. So he has listened to me talk for hours and hours. And while he is the producer / editor of Rapid Rant, I want to thank him anyway. So, yeah, that's Caberto. He's still involved. He's more in the background, but he will poke his head up and come back on every now and again. You can participate on the show on Twitter. That's at Rapid Rant. On Facebook, at Rapid Rant. Threads, we're around there. Now, we're streaming to Twitch and YouTube at the same time. And this is what I was testing, and it should work. It should work, and I even have like some video going. So that's the other thing. We're trying out video. So go to Twitch, and that one is actually just Rocky Coors. Twitch, want to watch Rapid Rant? Rocky Coors on Twitch, all one word. I know it's a sin for most people to put ice in a beer. I'm aware. That's the joke. People get mad at me. Rocky Coors, you know what that means? Yes, I know. Or Coors Light, or however you want to think about it. So find that on Twitch, Rocky Coors, and then, of course, on YouTube, Mountain Time Sports Report, Mountain Standard Time Sports Report on YouTube. You can find us. We will go live there. You can watch the video on demand. And, of course, download on any podcast subscription service that you could think of. We put them all up there. Anyway, to participate in the show, thank you for listening. And I want to go back because there was a lost episode. I realized that I did not record. I did a whole 45 minutes the other day, and I did not record. And now I'm actually just making sure I'm recording right now because I blew it. I hate when that happens. And it happened. I'm sorry. So, yeah, you can find that. But let's get started. It was on the weekend. Rapids won. Red Bull won. Rapids came back, being down at halftime, 1-0. In extra time in the first half, Lewis Morgan scored and surprised everybody going into halftime. It was rough. You know, the Rapids, I don't want to say they were playing well. They weren't playing that bad. But, going in down at halftime when it was pretty evenly matched, the first half, I kind of felt bad. We'll say that. Then in the second half, Rapids came out swinging again. And it was actually an own goal, although I think Johnny Lewis was right there. But Keegan Rosenberry crossed it in. Sam Nealis of New York Red Bull put it in for an own goal. And the Rapids take home 1-1 draw at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. And there's some other things that I thought were important is there's only 9 games on the season, MLS regular season. And so positioning and playoff positioning is very important. And I was looking at the lineup, and Moyes made it back last night for the big game in Los Angeles, but he was gone on the weekend, still with Canada, and he played every minute in Copa America for the Canadians up there. So he was very busy, and we were lucky to have him. He did go out with an injury. Lawless came on, I think, for the last 10 minutes. I have the report up here. I should probably be looking at that. Lawless went out. Bombito went out. All right, he didn't even what? Yeah, I don't know. I must be tripping. I thought Bombito went out, but anyway, whatever. So let's look at the lineup, and I should probably do it one at a time. So let's do New York Red Bull on the weekend. Jonathan Lewis came in. They had their chances. The Rapids had their chances. They did well. They just couldn't put it away. I think there's a couple open spots that just didn't happen against the Red Bull. Kevin Cabral got the start. Omir and Navajo in the front. Cole Bassett's been playing a lot, and I think he got a little tired last year around this time too. So it was kind of, the mid-season, tiredness. And then he came on, of course, at the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks of the year, and ended as the Rapids' leading scorer. Jonathan Lewis came in the 75th. He got a yellow in the 90th. Yuppie came in the 82nd. And Kamani, Stuart Baines, he got his first look for Rapids' first team in a while, and he did well. And at this point, I think he's, his vision is, I think, better than some other players, because he can find an open man and he finds an open space. And the last couple of games, I think that's kind of their problem is they find the open space, but not all the players are in the open space. And the Rapids are passing to that open space. So is it a lack of vision from the team? Maybe. But I feel like if they get those things connected more and understanding and getting the chemistry and knowing where the other players are going to be, it's going to turn these draws or these near ties and very short losses into more favorable results for the Rapids, who after last night currently sit in 5th place in the Western Conference. They're on 38 points, but we'll get into table talk in a minute. I thought Lawless played admirably. Maxu, and I was talking to people, Max, that like defense is it's underrated, right? Like they're the unsung guys, like an offensive line in football. If you don't say anything, they're fine. They did great. If you win and you don't even bring up the defense unless they score, they've done their job. And and like I said, offensive line, they only get mentioned if you screw up, which, it's whatever. Although the great ones, the great offensive line and the great defense will always get mentioned no matter what. So it's like you can count on them. And Rapids have only given up 3 goals this week. 4 goals. And an own goal. So they scored 2. But, still positive on the season for goal differential, which is awesome. So the Rapids 1-1 against the Red Bull. Omir and Armis reunion. Although they came to town, so it wasn't back there in the Red Bull Stadium, which I believe is in Harrison, New Jersey. So it should be the New York, New Jersey Red Bull, because they were New York, New Jersey Metro Stars, but whatever. So I was talking about Rapids being in 5th place, and I just want to break it up before we start talking about the LA Galaxy Rapids game. on the midweek. And every team except for one, because there's 29 teams in the league, played a midweek game. And not that much changed. Let's do that. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this change. Like people, the listeners on the podcast, I'm changing up websites and showing you the stats for the Western Conference and Eastern Conference. So Rapids currently in 5th place. I don't know if it's good luck or bad luck, because the Rapids are the lowest seeded team to win MLS Cup since 2010. They were 5th seed, and I don't think a 5th seed has even made the MLS Cup since then. And the lowest seed to make the MLS Cup was 2018 Portland Timbers. So the Rapids have done it as a lower seed. They also beat San Jose in the Eastern Conference final that year. Rapids Eastern Conference champions on their way to MLS Cup. And the player who scored the game-winning goal, Makuma Kanji, tore his ACL on the game-winning goal MLS, which brought me back to last night. Kevin Cabral, on his goal, he hit the back of the goal, like the pole, and he bent his arm back the wrong way, and it looked like his elbow was messed up. He came out of the game at halftime forgive me, Ali Larraz. So, but that just reminds me, every time somebody gets hurt on a goal, Rapids history, maybe a good omen, although they did lose last night. So, Rapids, I'm just saying, like, it's not always teams that get the low seed, and the Rapids have been the lowest seed in the past 20 years to even win an MLS Cup. So, but you can never count on that. But the Rapids, 5th place right now. And after midweek matches, the top 3 teams were tied going into midweek games. And since LA won, Galaxy won, beat the Rapids, and LAFC and Salt Lake drew at 1. Which, by the way, both those matches did not have a goal in the second half. Rapids, LA Galaxy 5 in the first half. LAFC, Salt Lake 2 in the first half, and that was it for them. And although I had them on 2 screens, so that's always fun. And I like Wednesday midweek away matches because I can put the 2 screens on, and I can put other events on. I am a news cycle junkie, just because when I worked in the news, talk news radio, whatever situation, I did that for 3 presidential cycles. So we got pretty heavily involved in that. And it's just sometimes you fall backwards into, whatever in life. And one of mine is knowing the political cycle and seeing what's up. And that's why this year is so interesting, because we might have a different candidate. We might have 2 different candidates than we were planning on, or a different candidate than we were planning on, for the last couple of years. Anyway, let's get back to table talk. So LA Galaxy 1st place, LAFC and Salt Lake, they tied. So they're in 2nd place and 3rd place, respectively, at 44 points, 2 points behind the Gals. Vancouver it has to be goal differential, 3 plus better goal differential than the Rapids. Rapids +6, Vancouver +9. Vancouver 4th place. Rapids fall to 5th, 1 point ahead of Seattle, who's doing much better. They were out of the playoff positions, a month ago. Now they're 6th place, 37 points, 1 behind the Rapids. 1 point behind them, Portland, who also had a tough first couple months, and now they're making it back into playoff contention. So, yeah, so different, so much difference, even though the top has basically kind of been the same. A couple teams rising up from the bottom, and one that has definitely fallen out ever since the Rapids made that comeback at Dick's Sporting Goods against Minnesota United Loons. They're in 9th place, and they're tied for 9th and 10th. So, and they are also ninth place on goal differential because they have -3 and Austin has -9. So there's that. Dallas in 11th, 29 points, one behind Austin and Minnesota. They are 0-8-3 on the road. 0-8-3 on the road. 8-3-2 at home. 29 points. They're close. They're close. The last wild card is close right now. They have 10 games left on the season, one more than the Rapids do. Kansas City 23 points. They're slipping out, man. Seven points back of the playoffs. That's a couple games, so they need help. They need help, and they need to help themselves. St. Louis, their tough season is still going. 13th place, 22 points, and San Jose, they got out of the basement for exactly 1 week, but they're back there, 1-9-1 on the road. The one on the road. We all know. We all remember. It was a rough one. That was a rough one. San Jose, 14 points. And, man, they're 8 points. They're 8 points back of the – man, they're having a – San Jose, they might clinch the wooden spoon by September, mid-September. That'll be rough. So we'll see what happens over there in Northern California. Miami gets back to the Supporter Shield lead and the Eastern Conference lead. 50 points. Cincinnati, 2 games in a row they've lost. And they're at home. They were really good at home until then. Now, of course, their away record is 9-1-1. Wow. So there's that. We'll talk about that. I'll just go over some scores real quick here in a minute. Columbus, 3rd place. They're 5 points out. They have 2 games in hand. So technically, nope, they're 7 points back in Miami, but they're 5 points out of 2nd place. So Columbus, they could technically get to 2nd place right now. And, even, depending on what happens, because Messi is out indefinitely for Inter Miami. We don't know when he'll be back. Hopefully nobody puts any death threats to whoever stepped on Messi's ankle the other day. Whatever. Argentina won anyway, so congratulations. 3 major tournaments in a row. And, John Elway-esque career. I know he did, and he won all those awards, and he won everything. But winning the big one, like Denver fans know, John Elway, at the end of his career, 2 straight Super Bowls. He made plays. It wasn't like Peyton Manning when his arm fell off and he couldn't make a throw. John Elway could still make throws. Right? He had an 80-yard bomb to Rod Smith in his last game ever, Super Bowl 33. So, whatever. But we'll see what happens with Messi. And they're still doing well because they haven't been with him. And first came back will be this week. So, they're in first place. They kept up their end of the deal without him. And Suarez, too. New York Red Bull, who the Rapids just played, they're still in 4th place. Saw 1 point over New York City FC, who has 37, to Red Bull's 38. Charlotte, 1 point back of that. In 7th place, Orlando with 33. 8th place, Toronto, 27. Orlando and Toronto getting some separation between them. The other wild card spot goes to Montreal. They're fighting for their lives. They've been in and out of playoff position, so they're in there right now. 10 games left on the season. See what happened. Outside looking in the Eastern Conference, Nashville, DC, both 26 points. Atlanta in 12th place with 25. Chicago, 13th, also with 25. And Philadelphia, 24. New England, 22. Nobody's out of it. Only 5 points separating, 9 and 15. So you think Miami with 50 points, 15 wins, 4 losses, and 5 ties, you'd think that team, the Eastern Conference, would be more top-heavy and have a lot of non-competition at the bottom. But really, those games, there's way more teams fighting for playoffs than in the Western Conference when the last 3 teams are 7 points out. The last team in the Eastern Conference is only 5 points out. So at least that's 2 games can change. And we still have, I think, another 2-game week, which is a 3-game in 8 days situation in MLS the rest of the year. I know the Rapids have at least one more. So there's your table talk. We'll go over some scores from midweek here. Just because, yeah, man, like I said, I like watching midweek and switch between the games. At least a Rapids away game, I can switch. I don't have to get down there 2 hours earlier, and I can switch between whatever game I feel like, and whatever game's close. So, City in Atlanta, draw in Atlanta. Chicago shut out Cincinnati, dropping them out of the top spot. It was Columbus 1, Charlotte 1, Miami 3, 1 Toronto, Red Bull and Montreal draw at 2, Philadelphia 5 goals at home against the New England Revolution, and that put the Revolution back in the bottom of the table. Like I said, Dallas, that was at home against Austin. They tripped. There's 3-1. DC United 3, Minnesota 2. DC United 2 goals, 90th and 91st minutes, and that was a game I was watching just because I wanted to see how Minnesota was doing because they were winning. I'm like, does DC have anything? And the 2 goals. Oh yeah, Christian Benteke and Herrera, both in extra time or about extra time, and DC United gets out of Minnesota with 3 points. So that helped the Rapids. In a way. Any loss by a team near us in the playoff position is good. So there's that. It was Orlando shutting out Nashville 3-0. Houston shutting out San Jose 1-0. Seattle shutting out St. Louis 2-0. It was Vancouver 2, Kansas City 1, and as I said earlier, LAFC Salt Lake draw with 1 each. And LAFC went up early. And then in the second half, nobody could score. I think Salt Lake had more chances. I was watching the Rapids and that game at the same time. So, it's hard to watch 2 things at the same time and all that. Although, even the best of us multitaskers, right? So the Rapids go to Los Angeles and they get out of there with a loss, and that's the second time they've been there this year. And the first game was against LAFC in the other stadium, BMO Stadium. So what is that? They gave up 3 to LA, so 6 goals to 2 so far in the city of Angels. Tough one for the Rapids. At least, they put up a fight, and it was 3-2 at halftime. LAFC, they scored a late goal against the Rapids here a couple of weeks ago, and it was 2-0 basically the whole game, and then Cabral got the red card, and that's how that ended, 3-0, and it was closer than that. And last night was closer than. We thought it was going to be a beatdown. We thought it was going to be not so close a rout. And that's what it looked like in the first half. Obviously, this is me, when I say me texting Caberta. Sorry, usually it's hard to, we have the habit of having Caberto on the show, and now he's not. So, yeah, but I still talk like he is sometimes. And I was also just talking to him for like 30 minutes about this game from last night. So there's that. So yeah, right. 12 minutes out, and the counterattack slash they had wide open play, and Dio Fagundes, he scored on the Rapids. It was like a cutback pass and shot from LA, and man, it looked like the Rapids were in for some trouble. And there was a bunch of breakaways. There was a bunch of counterattack breakaways. And the first half, the Rapids didn't deal with them so well. Second half, they definitely did. There was still, I think, 1 or 2, but it was much better. And whatever they did at halftime, whatever Armas told them, definitely worked. Because, it was the same score as halftime ended. And the Rapids had chances. And I had some thoughts on that in a little bit. But Kevin Cabral, he came to town. He scored against his old team, got the Rapids back level 1-1. But then, man, LA teed off, and it was like maybe we got to, I don't know, 40, 45 yards on the offensive zone, and LA took it away and just kind of had their way with the Rapids until almost halftime. And there was 7 minutes of stoppage time because of Cabral's injury to his elbow, or at least that's what it looked like, his elbow. And so it actually ended up being 12 minutes of stoppage time, which was 57. They were in the 57th minute in the first half, which would be some heavy legs, right? Like that's I think necessitate earlier substitutions, right, with 12 minutes of stoppage time. And in the 10th minute of stoppage time, Rafa Navarro forced a penalty kick. And he stepped up to shoot it, and it was saved, unfortunately. And it was a running start from Cole Bassett, and I don't think he was over, and it was because the player from the Galaxy kind of shielded the view of the video, but the LA Galaxy guy was definitely in the penalty box. And Cole Bassett, I don't know if it's like your foot can't touch or any part of it's but they couldn't review it. And it looked like whatever the call on the field stood, and that's what happened in the other goal, because maybe that was offsides, but no, the Kevin Cabral one too. So VAR went the Rapids' way twice. Oh, it was a goal that maybe should have had advantage of the LA Galaxy scored, but they disallowed it. And LA was pretty mad. They're pretty upset. LA Twitter, those guys were not happy about it. And the announcers were talking about, like, why did he stop and not let him have advantage and play out the offensive possession? Whatever. Refs are refs. That's just how it is. Sometimes they mess up. I mean, it's not like baseball where they're taking away perfect games from people. And I hope people got that reference. So, VAR went Rapids' way yesterday. It went, I'm not going to complain about the refs really, because we're getting calls both ways. As long as they call it fair, as long as it's both sides, as long as you're consistent as a referee and you call the same foul or penalty or whatever for both sides the same way, because if that's the rules going into the match, or 20 minutes in, it should be the same 70 minutes in. As long as you call it both the same way, then you get adjusted to it, and that's how they're going to play. And the ref had his card in his pocket, except for Maxu in the 8th minute, which he was playing on a yellow the whole rest of the game. But he did well. Laffelson and Connor both got yellows yesterday. But man, only one yellow card for LA. So how about that, Galaxy fans? Only one yellow card for you. There's a positive for the Rapids, for the LA Galaxy, how they got so angry. So Jonathan Lewis got the start, and he assisted Kevin Cabral's goal, which is pretty good. And then, but he also, he had one week that he kicked over the bar. He was on the left side of facing goal, and if Navajo or Connor Ronan was not wide open to take a shot right there, I'm like, dude, I know he's getting in trouble in the video room, because those guys are wide open, but you contributed. Rapids down one. I know it's harder and faster than what I would say as a commentator / amateur soccer watcher, presenter. Anyway, Jonathan Lewis, see that guy, get the cutback. They do it to us all the time. How can you not see that and do it back to the other team? Give the other team a little bit of their own medicine, because that's how LA scored a couple of their goals. Possession, pretty equal last night. Shots, 13, actually 9 shots on goal for the Rapids. Both teams 9 shots on goal. So, yeah. They made Zach Steffen work last night, and also we made the other guy work. And it was just unlucky. Their chances went in, our chances didn't. Rapids' chances didn't. 9 cross. I think we had more corners. Nope, 5-5 corners. 6 saves for Steffen, 7 saves for Los Angeles fella, who I should know because I just watched it, McCarthy. But 3-2 loss. It was on the road. It was in LA. Rapids don't have a great history. LA, Salt Lake, even Portland, which we'll be going back to here very shortly on the season. So there you go, Rapids, 5th place. There's your table talking update. Now, this is Rapids Rant. I am Don Pablo. Thanks for listening. You can find us on any podcasting subscription service. Just search Rapids Rant. Tell your friends. Search Rapids Rant. Find us on YouTube at Mountain Time Sports Report. We do the Rapids Rant on there now. We will be broadcasting that live show there without the pre-made opening and the music and stuff. We'll just do it for now, me with my voice. So there's that, because really all the other stuff is window dressing. And I realized I went to college, near the turn of the century. But I didn't want to do like slides. They call it slides now, PowerPoint or whatever. I didn't like doing that. And if I did it really, I only put bullet points in, like 4 bullet points. And I memorized what I was going to say. And, just all you need is the bullet points, right? All you need is the bullet points. You do 4 bullet points. That's your points. And then expound on them. And I think that's, I like to talk, and people were, you get nicknames, you get derogatory nicknames, whatever, and you hear them, you're like, they're call, and whatever. Nicknames are nicknames. You don't choose them. Sometimes they get chosen for you, which is fine. And you call me whatever you want. I don't care. Just call me Don Pablo or Don. Just Don. But my favorite one that was derogatory that people called me, that I heard, and I don't know very many words in Spanish, but they call me Don Habla. So in Spanish, Don talks. Don's talking. Whatever. So, and I'm like, is that an insult though? Because I like to talk. And obviously, if you listen to this, I like to talk. Find us on Twitch at Rocky Coors. So, we're going to change that up pretty soon to Mountain Time Sports Report. But right now, Rocky Coors on Twitch, Mountain Time Sports Report on YouTube. Then find us Twitter and Facebook, talking about all things Colorado Rapids. So Barbito in the lineup. Although I swear he got subbed off, even though it's not on the official report over here on MLS.com. Maybe they messed it up. But yeah, Lawless came in. He did well the last couple minutes. LA had their chance, and the Rapids just couldn't finish right there. Although, you know what? They came back. They fought in the second half. They didn't give up too many counterattacks. LA still got some in. But Rapids shut that down. They just didn't have enough time to make the comeback and get the level, get the result. So, we'll go to the next game. And by the way, the next game, Rocky Mountain Cup. It's a Rocky Mountain Cup. Now it's on. They got to win now. Rapids have to win to get the cup. It's not a draw. A draw goes back to Salt Lake. And I'm sure their supporters group is going to be here. And let me just say one thing about the Salt Lake supporters group. Rapids supporters go there. They get put far away from the stadium. Like, go party over there. All right. It's like people in Qatar at the World Cup. Like, they had to go on a cruise ship outside to even drink beer. you know, and drinking like Michelob Ultra, domestic brands that don't taste like anything. Forgive me, Michelob Ultra, please sponsor the show. Uh, they're drinking domestic brands that don't taste like it. It's got to be insulting for English people, Belgian, German, the places where beer is, it's a lifestyle. It's amazing. People make homages to go to that place to, make their own beer companies back here in the States. So when you're in Utah, you got to go, and it's one of the old Larry Miller, one of their most famous guys over there, who owned the Jazz, who owned the Salt Lake way back in the day, and he owns, he's at the dealership, and there's a couple here in Denver. It was one of those guys' old car dealerships, which is like an abandoned, by the way. It's like a pit. And so then you get walked over by the police or whatever, but I will say this, compliment to our people. They can come hang out in the tailgate. They can go hang out at the street party the Rapids have. They can hang out and do whatever. There's people tailgating all over the place at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Because we're cool about it, man. Like, it's not a, the rivalry's on the field. It's not in the parking lot, right? Although, quick story, Caberto and I, the first time we went to Salt Lake to watch a game, they're quote ultras. They tried to fight Caberto. I'm like, why are you trying to fight the littlest? No offense, Caberto. Why are you trying to fight the littlest guy when I'm standing right here? like what are you picking on him for? Anyway, so come on, let's whack Utah. We don't need that. We don't need it here. We're cool. Everybody's cool here, right? Everybody's fine. I would like to give another compliment to Rapids fans in the stands. They shut down that wave, and I realize it's the ends of this stadium, the north and south side, with the single game ticket purchasers. They start the way. They try, but when it gets to the season ticket holders, when it gets to the people, in the middle, 10-yard line, 18-yard box, they don't do it. They won't do it. Now look, I realize there is a time and a place for the wave. Maybe Rapids up 3-0. 2-0 if it's the 90th minute. Right? But the Rapids were losing 1-0 against New York when the end zones tried to do the wave, and the season ticket holders shut it down. And I'm proud of you guys. Because if people try to do that at Rocky Stadium, Coors Field, no, people would join in because they're not even paying attention to the baseball. And do you feel bad for Rockies fans? Because if anybody saw the national anthem, the woman who sung it is from the Denver area, and she was repping the Colorado Rockies, and she got roasted, except for, and I'm like, well, that's the experience of being a Colorado Rockies fan. You get really drunk and then, say whatever, party deck, and then you can't function you pay attention to the game anyway. So, whatever. But then the next day she said she was drunk and she's in rehab, so nobody can make fun of her ever, never. Which I feel is like the smartest PR move that one of those guys, when there's a problem, can do. It's like, oh, you got caught betting a second time. Oh, you got to go to rehab, and that's it. You can't make fun of him. Can't say anything because you're addicted. Although, can't make fun of people's addiction. Look, it's a trouble. It's trouble, but she knew what she was doing. If your big moment is you're singing in front of the All-Star game, if that's your big moment, if that's your big break, although she was nominated for 4 Grammys, it should be old hat. Whatever. Good job, Rapids fans. We could party with the other team. We don't do the wave unless warranted. Well done. All right. Let's talk some business. Business time. as they say. There's been talk of Moyes Bombito right before the Copa America, maybe going to Lyon, France, and putting a transfer window just opened, I think today, for MLS. They did announce some new player roster updates, which I'll talk about here in a minute, because apparently it's significant. It is significant. They changed the way that teams get to pay for players and how they're assigned and roster, and very interesting if you like business stuff. So anyway, there was word about Moyes and maybe the Rapids declined their first offer, or maybe not even their first offer, but it was reported $4 million. I hope the Rapids are holding out for more. It looked like Moyes only upped his international standing, his reputation over there, because I think the Rapids are going to get more. And while I hope that he stays with us through the end of the season, obviously France and Lyon would want him earlier, maybe, as they start here in about a month their new campaign over there. So, and I believe they're Champions League qualified too. So that's a positive. Yeah, going from the Rapids to Champions League, Copa America starter, number one, solid, as they say, penned in or in rock in the lineup for Canada, who's a semifinalist at Copa America. So that's pretty prestigious. And if he goes to Lyon, we'll miss him, but we'll be glad to call him part of Rapids history. And I am very glad that I bought his jersey here a couple of weeks ago, because if he goes to Lyon, maybe they're going to be more expensive. Anyway, so if he goes to Lyon and he gets to play before the end of the season, and he starts playing in September, end of August, September, he might play against an old Rapids player that played this season for the team, Lamine Jack. Lamine, the midfielder that couldn't get on the field except for Inter Miami. He did get to play against Messi, which I'm sure he'll tell his grandchildren about, because for 100% for sure would. So he went to Nantes. If Bombito goes to Lyon, or if he gets there soon, Nantes and Lyon actually play each other on October 6th. So it could be two 2024 Rapids players playing against each other in October. So there's that. If that happens. So there's your business deal. And then there's your thing that'll be, we'll watch some French League early October. Don't know what time I have to get up to do that, but I will do it. Figure out some kind of stream, or who knows what situation the French have for media rights in the United States. Anyway, that's a tidbit. That's hard. I looked for it. I looked for that. I was like, could they do that? Yes, they could. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if Lamine is even on the team, because I couldn't find him, and I couldn't figure out how to change. They don't have English Google Translate for that, and I tried to find him on their website, and I couldn't figure it out. But when you Google Lamine's name, it has him on that team. So it's still speculation for both of them to even be on the field against each other. But so there's that. Bombito, if you could just stay till the end of the season, I know you kind of have nothing to do with it. So whatever. Elsewhere, and this has something to do with Denver, because LA's Angel City FC women's soccer team of the NWSL, they changed hands this week, and they went for $250 million to the guy that was CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, and his wife. So, that's such a record. Their last expansion fee, and I looked it up, was $53 million. And they just sold that team for $250. So 5 times almost. And I don't understand how it could be that much, unless they're playing the long game. Because the only thing that appreciates more than housing in 2022 to 2024 is sports teams. There's amazing bets. Housing and sports teams. The sports teams only appreciate, but that's been the rule our whole life. And houses do, but they don't do the percentage they've been appreciating the last couple of years. Anyway, I think that's gonna make Denver, who they what's it called? For Denver FC, for DenverFC.com. They're talking about bringing an NWSL team to Denver. One of the Rapids presenters, Jordan Angeli, is involved in it. So I think this price, $250 million, paid for LA, Angel City FC. I think the expansion price just went up for Denver. So I don't know when they're awarding it or how they're awarding it, or even the players interested. But when I saw that, and I'm like, what's their media deal? They can't make that much. Like, I don't understand. Like the name LAFC, Angel City, they're not even connected with the MLS. So I don't know. 250 million. Maybe they know what they're doing, right? That's why he's CEO of Disney, and I'm trying to be an internet personality. But I just want to see. I would like to know. I would like to know their thoughts, because the biggest piece of the pie, 2024 in sports, is TV rights, TV money, and MLS is barely broadcast on national TV. They're not getting that crazy TV money. They're making more money on MLS plus subscriptions. Who knows what NWSL? I think a couple of their games are on ESPN, but it can't be that much. So, and you got to pay for operations, ticket sale. I don't know, but I know the price just went up for Denver, for Denver FC. Who wants to be an expansion team, and they've been doing events and stuff around Denver. Follow them on Twitter, for Denver FC, which I was doing. So, hey, but by the way, we get women's professional soccer. I'm not going to oppose it, right? And there's lots of venues you can play in Denver. The Metro one is cool off the highway. DU Stadium, Dick's Sporting Goods, they'll have to pay rent to go in there. They'll have to go pay rent to go anyway. If they're in Mile High Stadium, that'd be awesome. Although who knows what kind of attendance they would have. But, they put a new team in Denver. People go. So, man, that's the business side of sport. It's sometimes monopoly money. And by the way, Stan Kroenke, richest owner in sports. They came out with that list a couple of weeks ago. So there's that. Our business daddy, or the owner of the team, the hero that saved the Rapids. He's number one. So there's that. All right. I think that's enough of the business update. I'm just seeing if there's any news here about the Rapids before the end of the day. No. Just rest in peace, Bob Newhart, right? This is Rapids Rant. I am Don Pablo. Thank you for listening. Now, Rocky Mountain Cup is on the line this weekend. And, of course, the Rapids won in Salt Lake. Oh, man. Yeah, it was early March. 2-1. And that was when, we got some ears perking up in the Rapids, handling business. And this, what? Yeah, I don't know what's happening with these match summaries because uh, whatever. Rafael Navarro, I believe, scored his first goal as a Colorado Rapid, and then that's the end of the summary. So okay, Cole Bassett, yeah, Rafael Navarro PK, then Cole Bassett scores the winner, and yeah, so there's that. So Cole Bassett getting a win over Salt Lake in March. Then the Rapids actually had another return game there because of the three games. Obviously, two get a home game each. Oh yeah, it was a rebound that he scored from right outside, probably about 5 yards left of the penalty spot to get the Rapids victory. Rapids held on for the last 20 minutes, stoppage time, to get that victory. The return match, there was 8 goals scored in that game. Mid-May, Saturday, May 18th, and man, the Rapids went up. It was went up 1-0, and then they went up 2-1, and yeah, and then they kind of blew it after that. And I don't know what is wrong with these match summaries. Weird. Yeah. So Rapids, and then they had I think they had a tie 3-3 in the last 15 minutes, and the Rapids just had to hold on, and they couldn't do it. Then there was some anger after the game, right on the sideline in front of the bench. Rapids got penalized for mass confrontation, and so did Salt Lake. And Armis got a fine. A couple players got a fine. So things are going to be heated with each team winning a game in Salt Lake. Get one more for the season. Armis' first chance to win some silverware. Rocky Mountain Cup. And he always says he knows how important it is for the fans and watching them in the stadium, and he appreciates them every time they come. And Rapids attendance, even with last year's results, Rapids attendance this year has been pretty solid. Excuse me. So there's that. But I remember that Rapids game. Man, it went up. My feelings went up and down because going up 1-0 and 2-1. I was like, man, these Rapids. This is a different team. This is way different. And even though Pablo got the last laugh that night, maybe we have a chance. And we definitely do because the Rapids, even this week, we're down 3-0, and the Rapids came back to lose. It was 3-2 at halftime, even though they lost. But I'll take it. I guess I can't trust MLS soccer anymore for these the summaries of the game. Dang, man. All right, so there's that. But as far as forgive me. So we'll do that. And I've already been going on an hour, so I should probably wrap it up pretty soon. We don't have Georgie. I don't know if Kamani will be back, but the one thing I did want to talk about with Kamani was, I want to see him play with Hoffa because Kamani, he's kind of looking for the assist first in my mind when I've been watching, instead of just hitting the goal. And I understand goals get the girls, but assists get the wins, and the wins get the girls. So, I just want to see, because I feel like Kamani, he had some good runs last night, and obviously it was at the end of the match when another team was tired. Forgive me. But I just want to see what those two guys can do together, and maybe it's only an injury, and I think Kamani's going to be gone on national team duty, but that's one thing I want to watch for the rest of the season. And then, yeah, what else is happening this weekend? There's some recaps. The pregame activities, block party right in front of the south side of the stadium. Dale's Bar. Yeah, Dale's Bar. The Rapids Beer Crowler. That thing is cool. I have not bought one. $15 at Dale's Bar, and it's a crowler, man. Take it around. It's like a metal water bottle. It's cool. And then, yeah, gates open at 6:30. 7:30 kick. Send Pablo back across the Rocky Mountains with no trophy because they're bringing it. And let's get some new ribbons on there, right? Especially after last year when I think, oh man, that U.S. Open Cup game, they whooped us. And then there was I think we played them twice in a week at Dick's Sporting Goods. And that was a bad week, we'll say. That was when the doubts of playoffs started creeping in. Although Salt Lake, man, they got a team. They're going to be a tough out in the playoffs, but the Rapids have shown they can play in Salt Lake. You know, more confident there this year than I am at BMO Stadium in LA. And by the way, the Galaxy had not lost in that stadium all year, and their only loss, quote, home game was at the Rose Bowl when they played El Trafico against LAFC. So LA Galaxy. That is a fortress because nobody's gone in there to win all season. So that's another reason why we want to get a home playoff game in the first round because who knows what happened when the playoffs start. Everything changes. Intensity is up, and that intensity will be up for Salt Lake this weekend. No word on Moise Bombito's injury, and it looked like his calf, like he was cramped up, and it looked like his calf was happening. Omir, he looked okay. He took it was an ankle, or it was a groin last week, or ankle, and he came in. He looked okay last night. Hopefully he gets some more rest before the game this weekend at home. I will be going to training tomorrow, Friday. I'll probably tweet some stuff out there, Facebook, to see, if injuries or whatever. Although maybe I shouldn't do that. You definitely can't take pictures of starters, and maybe you can ask about injury. You could just watch who's out there and see what's up. So but they won't give you anything away. Anyway, it's a huge game, and they're gonna bring their away supporters. And I just hope the Rapids fans turn out, which I'm sure they were. And I didn't even talk about the new roster construction for this weekend, but it's already been an hour here on Rapids Rant. Rapids Rant is just going to be one part of the Mountain Time Sports Report. I just have to record it in a different way so Kiberto can throw it up on the podcast. I will be doing the podcast feed for Mountain Time Sports Report here pretty soon, but you can find Rapids Rant, Mountain Time Sports Report on YouTube and Rocky Coors on Twitch. Trying to expand that brand doing this. I have fun. I am lucky enough to have this job and to cover sports. Thanks to host emeritus Kiberto. Appreciate him. He's around, he's editing, and he's the hardest working man in radio in Denver. So for him, I want to thank you for listening to it's a Rocky Mountain Cup edition of Week 22 preview for Rapids Rant. To participate, like I said, go to Facebook, go to Twitter, X, and just search Rapids Rant. We'll talk about it. And if you want to ask a question of me, what you want me, have a topic suggestion for the show, I'll try to go into it. I love the business updates, and I'm probably going to end up doing a sports business show here pretty quick because I can expound on that stuff for, you think me blabbering on about sports is fun to listen to. You should hear about business and, people and what they say there because it's different because sports people, they expect you to talk, but business people, they don't like it and they treat different. And it's funny because that's the other thing. Oh man. All right. Real quick. The women's soccer team, the owner that says she's going to sue people for working there and that's a bad idea. Don't tell that to the media, all right? Because if you're going to sue your employees in a public way, there's going to be nobody wants to work for you. And I know I did to Joe Biden. I'm just going to whisper, nobody wants to work for you, man. And then if you're publicly putting out that it's a bad workplace, don't say anything. Don't say anything, owner. Just sue them. And now you have to have a non-disclosure agreement. And if people know you're doing that, then they're not going to. You're not going to get the best and brightest, if that's the word on the street. And by the way, you're in business. You should know this. But dang, man, just if you try to publicly blacklist people like that, it doesn't work really in sports like that. It doesn't work anywhere like that. You can't publicly do it. Whatever. Sorry, I just had to go on that tangent because I keep forgetting to talk about it because I wanted to talk about it. And maybe I'll expound on it more. Probably not on Rapid Rant. Maybe on Mountain Time Sports Report. Mountain Time Sports Report on YouTube. Rocky Coors on Twitch. I am Don Pablo. Thank you for joining Rapids Rant. If you've listened this far, God bless you. And make sure to take care of yourselves and each other. Thanks for listening.